Stan, I know you don't usually mince words, and here it's no different. You've written columns where you say this is the end of economic sanity as we know it.
Well, yeah, and that was I was. You should have seen the original version before that was edited. Look, the economy's humming along at 3%. We 3.1% growth rate right now. We've got unemployment at 4.1%. What do we need a big stimulus package like this for? Economically, it makes no sense. Furthermore, it's going to lock in a lot of incorrect fiscal policy for a decade or so as the deficit keeps getting bigger. Even if you get some more growth, the Joint Tax Committee this afternoon said the deficit and debt's going to grow by $1 trillion over what it otherwise would have already been.
Right.
So we're talking about a tough economic situation in the U.S. Going forward, and limits on the ability of Congress to use fiscal policy to fix things as the economy goes south.
But here's what Senator McCain said, though, when he gave his endorsement for the bill. Stan, he said, look, I believe this legislation, though far from perfect, would enhance American competitiveness, boost the economy, and provide long overdue tax relief for middle-class families. What's wrong with that?
Everything. You said I don't mince words. First of all, it's hard to understand where Senator McCain is coming from or where he's getting his information from. All of the analyses that we've seen so far shows that it's anything but a middle-class tax cut. In fact, it's much more likely to be a middle income and a lower income tax increase, certainly compared to what the higher upper income are going to be getting. That's number one. Number two, there's no evidence that it's going to produce any additional growth or sufficient growth to pay for itself, certainly. This is exactly the wrong policy at the wrong time. And it's hard to understand why John McCain is voting for this, given that he voted against many other tax increases, tax cuts over the years.
Right. Why do you think then? I mean, you've been in Washington for so long. Why do you think he's supportive of this?
Well, I think he's looking at it. There was a lot of pressure put on him within the Republican Party that he may not like Donald Trump, but he wants to keep that seat in Republican hands, and this is one of the ways they think they're going to do it. I think he's wrong, but he's looking at this as his last hurrah.
Or is he looking at this as a way to try and recreate some party unity after what has been such a divisive, 6 to 12 months?
Look, he's obviously got some severe problems with this president. He's also said that he's got severe problems with the process that Congress is using, that they're not using the normal process, the one that all of us learned in early years in school. And yet he's still voting for it. I mean, this was a big disappointment today, but you saw the way the markets in the U.S. reacted to it. John McCain announced that he was going to vote for the bill, and the market shot up like a rocket ship.
What implications do you actually see? What do you forecast in terms of this reform or this set of tax cuts going through, and what kind of implications does that have potentially for the Fed as they're trying to form policy for the next year or two?
Well, first of all, it puts fiscal policy at a direct with a dagger at monetary policy. If the Fed wasn't sure that it was going to be raising rates before this came up, it almost certainly will encourage them or convince them that December is the time for another interest rate increase and that there'll be several more next year, simply because otherwise the economy is going to start to heat up. Again, this is the wrong economic policy at the wrong time. But it really makes the Fed into the primary economic policymaker in the U.S. for decades to come, because fiscal policy just won't be available to do much more if it's needed, and there won't be much appetite for increasing taxes and decreasing spending if it's not needed.
Stan, I want to just pull up a chart here, #BTV4605, a chart I'm sure many of our viewers and you know very, very well, which just shows you how much the deficit widens, really, I should say, after tax cuts. And this just shows you the huge jumps after Reagan and Bush tax cuts. In the case of the Bush tax cuts, all of that, well, not in that case specifically, but certainly in some instances, you've seen recessions follow. So do you see a recession at all around the corner if these deficits balloon?
The answer is yes. I saw it before the tax bill was coming up. I think it's probably a year or so away. But you raise a couple of good and very interesting points. Reagan had a big tax cut and then signed 10. Let me repeat that, 10 tax increases to deal with the big deficit that he had created. George H.W. Bush, you remember, read my lips, no taxes, and then he went back on it. agreed to a tax increase with Democrats, and that cost him re-election. The difference now is that I don't think the hyperpartisanship in Washington is going to allow any president to increase taxes anytime over the next 5 years.
Right.
So if the market responds, if the bond market vigilantes come back, interest rates are going to rise, the economy is going to slow down pretty precipitously.
Stan, just really quickly, though, you said you saw this even before the tax reform bill was coming to the fore. Why?
Well, I mean, look, we've had an extraordinary run here post the recession, the Great Recession. Just on basic principles alone, I mean, unless the laws of economics have been rescinded, we were going to get a slowdown at some point over the next couple of years. We're throwing some stimulus into it now that's going to do what always causes recessions. That's higher interest rates.